You're welcome. Go find yourself. Thing that you come into this world to learn is that you don't need to work for love, and love isn't outside of yourself. You are love. So that's what I've come to accept about myself, is that I am love. And when I accepted that about myself, I was able to start seeing all of the ways in which I was behaving as if I needed love, when those were the situations where I had to come back into myself. And so that's what I love.
I'm always trying to like be aware of where I am in the world and how I'm behaving, how I leave people, how I, and when you said that, like your love, it's bigger than just being like, oh, I don't need people to give me love. It's realizing that you are it, but you also have to be that way.
Yeah.
Show up that way and choose that way. And so I'm like, yeah, that's good. You really you can't say that you're love and then just be not that.
Yeah.
Right. So I love that. It's making me think, because do you watch Ted Lasso?
No.
Everybody look.
Where is it?
It's on Apple TV.
Okay. I was
don't not against it or anything. It was just, to me, like, oh, why do I want to root for a white man? But you do. You really end up loving this guy. He's just a really good guy, like honest to goodness. You keep thinking that there's something else behind it, but he's just a good guy. And he said this thing during one episode that literally I will like go back to it. It was a quote, and I forget who said the quote, maybe like back in the day, like Socrates or something. But it was basically don't be judgmental, but be curious, not judgmental.
Curious.
And the way he broke it down, I was like, huh. So it's similar to your idea of being loved. Like, don't approach these situations with your judgments, with your preconceived notions, with the things that are already, in your head. Approach situations with questions, with curiosity. And with curiosity comes an openness, comes love. Comes, just the ability to be like, oh, I want to know about this, not, well, I think.
Right. There's this book, there's another book that I read a lot. Like, I'm not someone that like subscribes to like one way of thinking, whatever. Like, I believe that I am a spiritual being having a physical experience. And so literally everything is for my inspiration if I want to be inspired. So there is this amazing book that really helped me when I was like really down bad, called Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach. And I think she's a doctor, I don't know, but she's a Buddhist. And so with Radical Acceptance, she talks about this phenomenon that we have where we rely on denial when we are having uncomfortable feelings or uncomfortable situations, right? So for instance, like having like knowing that you're not very nice to your niece, right? Like there's something about her that really like rubs you the wrong way. And, it's been brought to your attention that you're not nice. And so, for a lot of people, they launch into defensiveness. Oh no, it's because of this. Oh no, it's because of that. And for some people who don't do defensiveness, they go, well, maybe it's not that bad, and they blind themselves to their own behavior. But the reason behind that is because for a lot of people, you believe that if you accept or like see something that's uncomfortable, right, that you'll become powerless over the thing that is uncomfortable, like the knowledge, right? The knowledge, you'll get stuck there. But Tara Brach, what she says about radical acceptance is that, what you notice changes. So when you notice something, like without the judgment of, if I'm mean to my niece, then I am a bad person. If I'm mean to my niece, then I'm a bad aunt. If I'm mean to all of these like beliefs or judgments, right? If you notice, you know what? I was short with her. When she talks to me, my face was screwed up. So when you notice it, it changes because you notice it. The same thing with pain, right? When you notice pain in the body and you like put your attention there, right? When you pay attention, it changes, and there's more responsibility that you can take with the thing that you notice. So it's actually the opposite. Like when you notice something and you take responsibility for it, you don't get stuck there. In fact, that's your opportunity to ascend.
Yes. Notice it and move forward. Yeah. Instead of the judgment.
Yeah.
And then it gives you the opportunity within that to fix the situation.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think like for me, I grew up in like my parents were teen parents. Like, you know, my mom was 18, my dad was 17, you know, like on my mom's side of the family, everyone is super duper young. My great grandmother died when I was 9. My great grandmother died in 2018. Like everybody had kids super young. And all of my caretakers, when I look back, they were children. They were all kids.
Yeah.
So when you're raised by kids, they do childish stuff. And when you become an adult, you think like, oh my God, like this is how life is. I'm always going to have people that are going to tell me what to do and then judge every moment that I'm doing it. Why are you doing it like that? Why are you picking up like that? Why are you doing it like this? You know, like the criticism, right? And so, you know, you learn like, oh, wow, okay, this is something that I can ascend. It doesn't always have to be like this, you know, there is a lot when you take responsibility for it. Yeah, there is an opportunity for you to make it whatever you want.
Exactly that. Well, I love that you shared that because because even in seeing some of the things that you're in headlines for, I was like, I like how she moves, because the recent story that I saw about you leaving NCIS is a story that a lot of Black folks have on set and in the industry. And I've had these conversations with so many celebrities who are even the biggest name on the talk show that they're on, and they still have to prepare themselves before they get to set with either makeup or hair, and it makes no sense and it's frustrating. And you could
it does make sense.
Oh, it does make sense, you're right. Because to me, you know, systemic racism makes no sense, but it
makes perfect sense. Yeah,
that it still exists, and there's still so much residue. And it's disheartening. But when you get into this space and you have the power, or you empower yourself to make sure that the narrative is heard, and then you can help shift people's minds.
Cecily Tyson did an interview on The View, and Sherry Shepherd had asked her, this was back in like 2014. And I know this because we were on Broadway at the same time. So she was doing Broadway press. So I was just like looking at everything. And so she was just like, Sherry was like, oh my God, like since you've been in the business, you know, many, many decades, you know, you see so many more Black women and Black people on TV than, you know, when you were first starting, you know, how do you see the moment that we're in now? And in all of her wisdom, she said, you know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And she really didn't elaborate much after that. And my I think it was like 24 at the time, my 24-year-old brain was like, what? I grew up in the 90s with WB and UPN. Like, I'm used to seeing, like, I don't know what she's talking about. The more things change, the more they stay the same. But then when I got to Hollywood, I learned that in all of these talks about diversity, if you're not going to change the system, then all you have are a bunch more. Instead of one Black woman, Cecily Tyson, you have 60 Black women having the same traumatized experience.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, your diversity plan is really just making sure that there are more people that are harmed with the same system if you don't change it. So when you talk about the cosmetology board and the hair union, this is how we're being undermined. The cosmetology board teaches hair is hair, and then they proceed to pass out mannequins with type 1 hair. Even the one service, the one chemical service that is, arguably designed for textured hair, type 4 hair, is done on a mannequin with type 1 hair.
Right.
They don't give you a textured hair mannequin to do the relaxer process. No, that is the definition of erasure. So no matter what race your cosmetologist is, that cosmetology license does not equal what you think it equals, right? And there are a lot of cosmetologists that want to play into that they did learn all of these things, but the truth is you don't. When the cosmetology board says hair is hair, even down to detangling methods, right? It's all done from a type 1 centered hair. It's all type 1 centered hair education. So our understanding of how to detangle our type 4, type 3 hair, we comb it out. The way that type 1 hair, we understand it to be tangled is the strands, first of all, they hang to the ground, and if they're tangled, that means that there are strands that are, tangled or wrapped around each other. And so whatever detangling apparatus can't make it through from the root to the ends without hitting a snag. So how do we know that this hair is detangled? Well, those strands go side by side and the apparatus can go smoothly from root to ends. Well, that is the exact opposite of how textured or curled hair works. You're wearing beautiful curly hair right now. When you take one of your curls, right? One of your curls, when you dissect the anatomy of your curl, it's made up of several hair strands. Right. Not just one hair strand, it's several hair strands. So our curls need curl friends to create the luscious curls. But how do we detangle our hair? Well, it's in our language. We comb it out. We throw it out. Yeah. And so we're applying that same mindset, right, to our textured patterned hair, right? So we take the curls and we separate the strands out. And our belief is that we are detangling our hair by making sure that these curl strands are going side by side. And for a lot of us, we don't understand the porosity or the cuticle health, we don't understand even the width of our hair. A lot of the language that we use for density, we're talking about hair strand width. So people go, oh, there's no way I have fine hair because I got a lot of hair. No, baby. Fine hair is the width of the hair strand. You got a lot of hair, that's high density. That's talking about the amount of strands in 1 square inch. So I took myself through all of this education, which you get with cosmetic chemistry. When you're creating a product, you learn about actual hair. So what the hair union and the cosmetology board are doing is they're saying, we are the certifying body, but we will not teach you about textured hair. And for the cosmetology board, there are people in the business sector who have made strides in hair care education. One of them is Andre Walker, who was Oprah Winfrey's hairstylist. He is the one who created the hair typing or pattern of the hair strand system. However, the cosmetology board does not use it. They haven't adopted it and they don't teach it. And so our hair union is a reflection of our national certifying body, the cosmetology board. And so what's happening, the systemic racism, it happens there. It's all coming from the cosmetology board. They don't teach detangling. They don't teach hair types. They don't teach porosity and teach these cosmetologists how to help their clients nurture their hair. No, they're teaching about dye. They're teaching about these chemical treatments, curling, styling. That's all great, but we need hair care. And so what I did, and I think this circles back to how you started this question, the way that I move is amor fati, right? I've got these tattoos. This is another like ancient philosophy. So Stoicism, right? Marcus Aurelius, a few others. This belief of amor fati, this practice, it's Latin for love of one's fate or love of one's life. And the way that this works is amor fati says everything that happens in your life is yours.
Yeah.
And if it's yours, also this belief of amor fati is it's either good, or if it comes with pain, it's necessary.
Yeah.
And when you go to the necessary side of things, you take yourself from what was I thinking to what am I learning, right? And so you can apply that, you know, I'm getting married, I love my life. I'm getting a divorce, I love my life. You know, I bought a house, I love my life. It burned down, I love my life. Well, on the other side, you can learn fire safety. You can learn about soul ties. You can learn about, you know, there's so much to learn.
Nothing.
Exactly. Learn about your resiliency. Life is beautiful. So what I took from that NCIS experience and everything that happened to me and all of the lenses that they were working for, the biggest one being anti-Blackness, when I got off that show, I believe that my healing is my responsibility. So I did 3 months of trauma counseling. And then when I left that, I was like, and now it's time to physically heal. And if I take responsibility for everything that happened, then I'm gonna approach this with the belief that I can solve my own problems. Like they were human beings working from the knowledge and the experience and the beliefs that they had. And I too am a human being with human hair. So there has to be something out in nature that's going to help me solve the problems that I'm having with my fine, medium to low density type 4 patterned hair with high porosity. So I looked at non-white successful hair cultures. And how did I define success? Length retention, moisture retention, overall improved health of the cuticle, meaning balancing the porosity. So when I looked at these hair cultures and the natural ingredients that they used and the practices, that's how I created, you know, a patent pending, dermatologically tested treatment. Now, the first part of that patent is a detangling method. So what I did was I saw North Africa, they pre-poo. And I was like, how they pre-pooing over there? And I applied, you know, the philosophy of pre-poo for North Africa, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and what I know about cosmetic chemistry. And I created WDOT, very simple, water, deep conditioner, olive oil, tangle tamer. And I went through the process of finding detangling tools that don't take out your hair, that are pain-free, and that also encourage curl clumping, because that's what detangled hair looks like. It looks like curls, not like a fro. So that's how I approached my problem. And that got me on a show that now gets streamed billions of times, because as an actress, as a character actress, I understand that the body tells a story, and your hair, your voice, everything is a part of that story that you're telling. And so I knew, you know, leaving that procedural, that I was limiting myself as an actress because I was so dependent on the wigs and the extensions to be able to keep up with the rigorous schedule of being a regular or a recur that recurs a lot. And so when I did the 4 Naturals treatment, you know, I did 1, I did 3, and I was like, oh my fucking God. Like when it's dry, the curls, it moves. Like I straightened my hair for the first time. Like I was natural all through Juilliard and 3 years of living in New York. And I straightened my hair one time for an audition, and I had to cut it off because my curls were so damaged from the heat.
Yeah.
So when I straightened my hair and I put some water in it and the curl was back, I was like, oh my God. And then because I had to prove my claims for chemical damage, right? I took myself through 2 Brazilian blowout treatments. I went to professionals and I let them blow my shit out. And they did. They blew it out. But, but I was treating it with the Four Naturals treatment. And so I was still retaining length. I was still able to keep my strands from like having to cut them like Jennifer Aniston did after her first Brazilian blowout treatment. And so it's giving hope to Black women and men, frankly, with type 4 hair, that your problems can be solved, and it could be solved with plant-based ingredients.
And all because of the mess that exists in Hollywood behind the scenes.
You're welcome.
Right?
My pain, your gift.
It's everywhere. I promise you, I've talked to Alfre Woodard about this. Like, people that you would think they would fall all over themselves to make sure everything was okay in the back end.
No, because there's nowhere to go. And that's what I learned. There was nowhere to go. Like the extensions that I was wearing in season 2 of NCIS, those were put in. Like, there's so many people who, you know, they talk and they don't know nothing about what they talking about. And so they were online and they were like, well, she needs a Black hairstylist. Baby, race has nothing to do with knowledge. My hairstylist on NCIS was a Black man the entire time. The people that were putting in my extensions, Black women. So again, it goes back to the cosmetology board. No, they're not teaching extensions through the cosmetology board. They're not teaching braiding. They're not teaching 90% of the services that people with textured hair, specifically Black people, are getting on a regular basis. And yet they have the right to shut down a salon if they're using a curling iron.
Girl, a mess. And it's the kitchen beauticians who really know what they're doing. That is so crazy. I mean, thank you for sharing it, and thank you for going the extra route to make sure that this isn't just something that you can benefit from, but it's gonna help change a lot for girls that are in your profession.
Yes, I cannot wait. Like, honestly, Danielle, like, at this point in my life, in my 30s, I'm like, yeah, I think this is what I was supposed to do. You know, like, this, everything happens for a reason, and it happened to me for a reason, and I'm a saver. And, you know, so I had the resources to invest and to make it happen. I opened a hair spa, you know, pre-pandemic, and I changed Black women's lives.
Well, Miss Thing, what a beautiful thing to have somebody like you in Hollywood with true, real intentions and just a community mindset. That's just it. That's what we need. To watch you go through Hollywood in the way that you are, you never, even though you are playing the Black neighbor or the Black girl, it's never that. It's never that. It just gives, she just happens to be Black. How do you feel about that? Because I know Michael B. Jordan had faced some criticisms back in the day when he had mentioned that he didn't want to be a Black actor or considered a Black actor. He wanted to be considered an actor. And a lot of people were like, well, you know, a torn feeling about that type of statement. What do you think about that?
I mean, I can understand why people, especially Black people, had that like reaction to hearing that. I think because as a community, we all know that all skin folk and kin folk, and we have the experience of people that we root for, like denigrating the community and not seeing like the beauty of who they are, you know, and looking at, you know, themselves and the community through like a super white lens. But, you know, for me, I am a Black woman. Like, that's part of what I bring to the table. So the way that I focus on, I mean, I don't even think about pigeonholing myself because I'm dumb talented. So I don't think about the limitations that someone else may put on me, because I agree that that's about them, right? So for me, I'm looking at the humanity of the characters that I'm portraying. What are the feelings? What are the motivations? But how my Blackness shows up. Take a role like Search Party. That show's super white. There's like a lot of like white characters. Yes, but you know, for me, when I got that role, first of all, you know, again, playing in the boundaries, my love boundaries for my career, like I got the audition, I didn't confirm it right away. I went to see if it's a show that I would actually watch. And then I binged both seasons. I was like, this is great. But then I called my manager and I was just like, well, I don't know. And she was like, listen, it's a recast. Now, when I found out that it was a recast, I was like, oh, they're really going to take this seriously, like the casting seriously. This isn't going to be like a waste of time audition. I mean, Danielle, listen, we could talk forever about my career and what I learned about the audition process and how many times I cried in my Prius. Okay. When I first got to LA, like, oh my God, I was close. I had a producer session and fucking Raven Simone already had the contract. This is terrible. Right. So when I found out it was a recast, I was like, this is serious. I looked up the vocal fry. I did my analysis on the vocal fry. Thank you. And I got like the psychology behind it. And I was like, oh, okay. So Cassidy is like really actually like in earnest about doing great about her job. But I'm also a Black woman. So I was like, well, if she got this one vocal tick, why can't I have all the vocal ticks? So I was like, what is a vocal tick that people can't stand about Black girls? Popping. So I was like, okay, well, she's a Black woman who has a vocal fry, has some popping, and you know, we love playing with language. I love our relationship to language, how we flip it, chop it, reverse it, and make it our own. And so my Juilliard background of like, you know, speak with distinction and like learning all of these like ways of pronouncing things, and Shakespeare too, like learning how to pronounce things. So like the different ways that you pronounce things. So I was like, yeah, why can't she do that too? Defendant. Like, I just was like, yeah. So I bring all of who I am to whatever character because I know what you're seeing. I know that you're not going to see some like grayed out character. It's a Black woman. So how does this Black woman show up in this space with all of this?
Yeah. And you made her so interesting. I was like, I want to know more about this girl. What?
Exactly.
Yeah, and then to see you again and in this mommy blogger character that you just can't help but love to hate. It's like the new version of Lynn Whitfield if she was like playing these types of characters. You know what I mean?
Lynn Whitfield.
It's Lynn Whitfield. Well, she does love the internet. She does have a good time on social. But if she was like a blogger and a mommy blogger at the time,
I'm still like standing over this Lynn Whitfield. Oh my God, thank you.
That's what it was given. I said, okay, Shalita came to play. You came to play. And before we get out of here, like, in case y'all haven't binged you season three yet, like, what are you even doing? Like,
exactly. You have a life. What's happening? Get off of that.
I'm gonna spoil it. There's a sex scene, and our girl is out there in the wild.
Yes.
How does it feel to be able to stretch in these types of ways as an actress? And what does that make you feel when you get to do these things?
It's great. You know, again, like going back to, you know, how I present, I think it's super dope and super freeing for there to be a Black woman representation for the poly swinger, you know, side of things, right? Yeah. Because there is a very strong contingency within our community that is very conservative, but there is a lot of us that are not and that are curious, and I happen to be one of them. So yes, baby girl got some experiences. So when I got the script, I was like, okay, so what y'all want to see? Like, how much of this y'all want to do, you know?
She is. She's hella dynamic because you think that she's just one way. Oh,
Yes.
kids don't eat sugar, not even fruit. Like, get
Yes.
away.
But she's doing the principal and his wife. Yeah. That's how it be sometimes, though.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm so glad for you that you're able to get these types of roles and that you're able to continue to bring yourself to the table and transform this place because we need people like you. You inspire so much, Shalita, for real. In case y'all haven't binged you season three yet, like, what are you even doing? Like,
exactly. You have a life. What's happening? Get off of that.
I'm gonna spoil it. There's a sex scene, and our girl is out there in the wild.
Yes.
How does it feel to be able to stretch in these types of ways as an actress? And what does that make you feel when you get to do these things?
It's great. Again, like going back to, how I present, I think it's super dope and super freeing for there to be a Black woman representation for the poly swinger, side of things, right? Yeah. Because there is a very strong contingency within our community that is very conservative, but there is a lot of us that are not and that are curious, and I happen to be one of them. So yes, baby girl got some experiences. So when I got the script, I was like, okay, so what y'all want to see? Like, how much of this y'all want to do,
She is. She's hella dynamic because you think that she's just one way. Oh, kids don't eat sugar, not even fruit. Like, get away.
But she's doing the principal and his wife. Yeah. That's how it be sometimes, though.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm so glad for you that you're able to get these types of roles and that you're able to continue to bring yourself to the table and transform this place because we need people like you. You inspire so much, Shalita, for real. I cannot wait to see wherever you go next, sis.
Thank you, Danielle. I really appreciate you.
Of course, likewise. And I hope to see you again. Real quick with Danielle Young. Real with